is one of the biggest scams. They're indoctrinating young girls. I was even indoctrinated to think that your career is going to bring you happiness. Then you hit 40s, 50s, not married, no children, and it's heartbreaking. You're not happy. And I'm so happy and so grateful that I figured this out in my early 20s. You have some women in their 30s, 40s listening to Cardi B, dedicating their lives to their career, and they're going to be miserable. They're creating a certain lifestyle for themselves, and no man is ever going to want them. Then we start on men because men prefer younger women. Well, that's not really men's fault, is it? It's society's fault. Society should have told girls when they were much younger that at that age they're going to be most desirable. But no, they were busy building their careers and building all these different things, which unfortunately they wake up one day and realize just isn't satisfying enough. And so I think it's very sad.
I can do anything that a man can do. I deserve to be treated equal. I am so sick and tired of being treated like one of the guys. What can a girl do to get an ounce of respect from men? Chivalry is...
Fam, let's take these two on one at a time. The first video, her words, not mine. I honestly think having offspring is a wonderful gift. Does it always work out? Nope, I'm not gonna say that. But for the most part, having a family will give dividends if both men and women sacrifice enough for their family. And ladies, this includes your temporary feelings of,
I'm not happy. I'm gonna break up my family to find myself.
I'm glad this queen realized when she was young that family is more important than a job. To the second video, well, she summed it up in a nutshell, didn't she? Equality means just that, being treated the same as a man. Somehow these pink-haired queens got that confused with special treatment. Chivalry's obituary was written a while back, and women wrote that thing up nicely. Ladies, if you want to be treated equal to a man, that means start paying for dates, start taking men out on lavish vacations, and start buying engagement rings. If you're not willing to do any of that, it's not equality. Moving on.
I regret being a I'm grateful for the ability to control my reproductive cycle and make my own money, but that freedom has come at a price. The dark side of the sexual revolution is that even though it liberated women, unyoking sex from the consequences has primarily benefited men. But if I'm honest with myself, of the dozens of men I've been with, at least the ones I remember, I can only think of a handful I don't regret. The rest I would put in the category of casual, which I would define as sex that is either meaningless or mediocre or both. If I get really honest with myself, I'd say most of these usually drunken encounters left me feeling empty and demoralized and worthless. I wouldn't have said that at the time, though. At the time, I would have told you I was liberated, even while I tried to drink away the sick feeling of rejection while my most recent hookup didn't call me back. At the time, I would have said one-night stands made me feel emboldened. But in reality, I was using sex like a drug, trying unsuccessfully to fill a hole inside me with men. Pun intended.
Youch, that must have been really hard to do. The taking accountability part, I mean. Don't get that twisted. Ladies, we have heard the narrative for decades now from a certain pink-haired mob trying to convince women if they act like a man, their problems will magically be resolved. They're gonna feel like He-Man when he powers up with his magic sword and the secrets of Castle Grayskull are revealed to them. Unfortunately, there are women like this queen that bought that line completely and found out the hard way men and women are not the same. Ladies, just because men can enjoy physical intimacy with multiple partners while having little emotional attachment, it doesn't mean women should as well. In fact, we have covered in previous episodes the studies where women who have had many multiple partners develop issues pair bonding to one partner later in life.
I know regretting most of my encounters is not something a positive who used to write a column for Playboy is supposed to admit. And for years, I didn't. Let me be clear. Being a and sleeping with a lot of men is not the only behavior I regret. Even more damaging was what I told myself in order to justify the fact that I was disposable to these men. I told myself I didn't care. I didn't care when a man ghosted me. Ugh. I didn't care when he left in the middle of the night or hinted that he wanted me to leave. The walks of shame, the blackouts, the anxiety. The lie I told myself for decades was, I'm not in pain, I'm empowered. I knew it would be hard to read this. I lost my virginity at 17 to my boss at a restaurant where I worked. And a year later, I experienced my first trauma. I felt damaged and dirty, and I blamed myself. Everyone responds differently to these situations. I dealt with the overwhelming shame by becoming hypersexual and promiscuous.
Let's be clear about something that I think most modern day women just are confused on. Women in general actually believe that physical intimacy is as easy for men to achieve as it is for women. Nothing could be further from the truth. The reason I believe most women think this way is because of the invisibility factor.
Invisibility factor? What the heck are you talking about? There's no such thing.
Well, let me explain. Since 80% plus of all men are invisible to most women, it would be logical for women to think that the intimate partner availability of the 20% they notice would represent the norm for all men. Ladies, let me share a little secret. Men can get a sense of empowerment from achieving something that is difficult to do. Sleeping around with a higher than average rate of women than other men is difficult. You, on the other hand, could be a below average looking, overweight convenience store cashier, and you will still have an easier time getting lucky than an above average looking male auto mechanic. Where's the accomplishment in that?
The culture was right there to pick me up and dust me off. I doubled down on being a proud and internalized the biggest and most damaging lie, that loveless sex is empowering. I basked in the girl power glow of that delusion for decades, weaponizing my sexuality while convincing myself I was full of the divine feminine. I was full of shit. I told myself that because I could seduce a man, I was powerful. But as Perry says in her book, women can all too easily fail to recognize that being desired is not the same thing as being held in high esteem. Deep down inside, I knew that to be the case. But as a defense mechanism, I created a man-eater persona. My mantras were rigid. You can either have a career or a relationship, but you can't have both. Intimacy is creepy. Motherhood and children are a trap. Sex is only about power. Another set of lies built on trauma. When a man I slept with had the courtesy to reach out, I mistook relief for happiness, rewiring my brain to be grateful for the bare minimum. The saddest realization is how low I set the bar.
Fam, those were powerful words. Being desired is not the same as being in high esteem. Just because I desire a ham sandwich does not mean the sandwich is the center of my universe. And how many times have we heard the anti-patriarchy bots yell out that motherhood and children are a trap? A trap for what, ladies? Keeping all of you in a circle of happiness? Nah, what am I saying? Obviously, it's a trap, and a corporate career with working long nights until they let you go is freedom! But although it is late for this queen, it's good to see she finally woke up from her situation. I wonder if her message will reach the ears of younger women. Probably not, since she is disconnected from the hive mind.
A lifetime of allowing myself to be the other woman, taken for granted or treated like a doormat under the false pretense of being empowered, came to head one night with the arrival of a text message from an on-again, off-again lover. "Good night, baby, I love you," it said, quickly followed by "wrong person." Rock bottom doesn't always look like losing everything or ending up in jail. I wanted to be able to have meaningless sex like a guy, but it didn't work. Today's youth are fed an even more dangerous lie than the one that was fed about loveless. I was told sex doesn't matter. They're being told biology doesn't matter. This is a tragedy. I regret being a slut. I regret it because I regret that those men can say they slept with me. As Gen X women in particular really relate to this, and it's like they're stumbling back from a war, being like, go back. It was a lie. It's a trap. It just seems like women who have been sold this kind of millennials too, in particular, the like people who grew up with sex in the city and this idea that we can just have sex with men consequence free and that it doesn't somehow damage our soul.
That show has been referenced several times as a form of shining example as to how modern women should live. And at the same time, you hear women claim it was used as a propaganda tool to sell them fiction. Fam, I have to admit, I winced when she said the part she got an "I love you" text followed by a "wrong person" text. That was like, checkmate, you are officially the side piece. That was not a diss. That was an observation of what actually happened. I can see how she is risking getting canceled with her biology remark. In today's age, social media has a lot of sway, and as we all know, women tend to be influenced by social norms more than men on average. Ladies, just take a note of what a lifetime of sleeping around can lead to. This woman is expressing her pain from her experience to try to warn young women.
A lot of women have said that they identify with this. The problem with so much of this stuff is that you keep doing damage to yourself. At least I did. In my attempt to keep proving to myself that sex was empowering, that I could have sex like a man, I kept damaging myself, damaging my spirit and soul in ways that I didn't really fully comprehend at the time. I was too young and I was too high or drunk in many instances. And you can see when I read the piece, it's still painful because I wish I knew better. And I guess part of the reason that I wrote this piece is for my daughter. I want her to know better. And for all the young women out there, you don't have to play that game. If you feel in your heart, like, I don't think I can have sex with someone and not get attached, and I don't know the person, and I feel like it's very intimate. You're right. That's true.
Finally, a woman who is holding the line and trying to teach younger women to do better. I can't help but notice something. Why is it when women demand men to do better, they don't say anything to other women to do better? But cases like these, when a woman is doing the difficult task of taking accountability for her own choices, she is telling younger women to do better. Many young men observe the horrors of family court their fathers have gone through and decide to opt out of marriage. That actually sounds like self-responsibility on their part. And this is seen as a problem by society's standards today. While young women are still being fed the same message this lady was told, and somehow it is still viewed as empowering. Oh well, I guess this is just the method to the madness that fuels the passport bro movement. I'm just saying, if you enjoy this audit, click on the video in the end screen for more content. If you would like to support the channel, please follow the link in the description to donate to our beer fund, or like, subscribe, and share this video on other social media platforms. If you agree or disagree with anything about this audit, please let us know in the comments. I'm going to leave this audit right here. I'll see all of you in the next episode.